I would ask, and if they say no, I would ask, do you have a plan? And what is that plan? And I think at that point then to do everything you can to talk to them about, let me come and help you.
Okay. So you don't just go.
Well, if you know where they are, you could. Sure,
sure. Okay.
But you may not.
Good point.
I think sometimes people who are at that point where maybe that's their last call to somebody.
Okay.
And they may not be willing to tell you where they are.
So you just got to keep trying
Yes.
talking to them. Have you had stories like that where someone has called and said, I'm thinking to kill myself, and they've done it over the phone while they were with?
I personally have not.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't, I would, I hate to say, I would assume that those kinds of things have probably happened. Yes.
God, it's such a heart-wrenching thought.
Well, it is, and it's a very difficult thing to talk about. There's so much stigma that still surrounds not only suicide but mental illness and mental health problems in general. So people are very afraid to talk about that, and also people that have lost somebody to suicide, feel a lot of guilt at times, and are so sad about having lost somebody that they are also afraid to talk about that. I recall part of what we do for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is we also sponsor a National Survivors Day every year, and that's always the Saturday before Thanksgiving. But anyway, in preparing for our event last year, I had a call from a woman who wanted some information about, well, where do I go for this event? And she said, I don't know if I can come. She said, my husband took his life 7 years ago, and I have not been able to talk to anybody outside of my family about that. She said, this is the first call like this I've ever made to somebody.
Okay.
And so, there is still so much secrecy and as I said a bit ago, just stigma surrounding suicide.
So that National Day for Survivors, is that for the people who survived the loss
of suicide? Yes.
Or is it also for those people who tried taking their lives but were actually unsuccessful?
No, there's not at this point.
Okay, okay. Just out of curiosity, I wasn't sure if both people get to come for that, but well, that's good that there's an event or some sort of a group for those people.
And that's a national and actually international event that's been supported by AFSP now for a number of years. So,
are there any other local organizations that help with people who have lost someone to suicide for counseling or kind of group therapy in a sense?
There is one support group here in the Bismarck-Mandan area, and I know that other individuals from other communities often come here. It meets every other Tuesday at Parkway Funeral Home.
Okay.
And the name of the support group is Sounds of Silence. Mm-hmm. And if anybody's interested in that or wanting more information about that, Brenda Bergen, who is my co-chair for the walk, is also co-facilitator of that support group.
Okay.
And I can certainly get you information or about how to get in touch with her about that.
Okay. So
and then the Human Service Center provides, of course, individual counseling. There are also a number of, private providers in the Bismarck-Mandan community as well that do, provide mental health services for individuals.
Okay, so and then brings up another topic. I mean, with someone who has killed themselves, how do you, if you know the survivor, how do you approach them, and what do you do to show support? Because it's such, like you said, there's so much stigma behind it and around it. How do you show support for that individual that survived?
What I have heard that's most helpful for people that have survived is to offer condolences. And if you're uncomfortable or you don't know for sure what to say, I've been told that people would much rather hear that, to say, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. I really don't know what to say to help you. And to just be there to provide support. Sometimes it's real helpful also to do things for them, like to prepare a meal or maybe to offer to babysit, to clean for them, run errands, those kinds of things. And even to ask them, what can I do to help you?
Okay.
The other thing that individuals have told me is that we're so inclined to say, well, call me if you need anything. Call me if you want to go for coffee. Call me if you want to talk. People find it very difficult to reach out because of how they're feeling. And so they often welcome people to come to them instead.
And say,
And-
just do it. Just
Yes.
I will call you, or
Yes.
and you actually call
And
them.
then to follow through with that,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if when you call or you approach somebody and they say, I really, I can't talk today, but maybe tomorrow or maybe Saturday or whatever they may say, is to be sure to follow through with that.
Don't leave another sort of a disappointment.
Right. Right.
Which
and
is-
to not say things like, well, time heals. Well, yeah, we know that. And because of our own uncomfortableness with helping someone or knowing what to say when they've experienced such a loss, we sometimes say cliche things
Yes.
or things because we're nervous ourselves. But I don't know that those things are very helpful to people.
Because again, pointing out the obvious, yeah,
Right.
time does heal all, but right now,
Right
it's
now.
it's not. I'm not
Yeah.
healed.
Yeah, and I don't feel like it's ever going to get any better for me, that
Mm-hmm.
I will ever get over this. And it takes such time for people, and people's grief and loss and getting through things is so individualized. It's so very, very different. And in fact, I met a woman today at a meeting, and when she was introducing herself, she said her daughter took her own life about 4 years ago. And we were into the meeting, and we're talking about some other things, and she said, I can finally say that without choking up.
Wow. Wow. So it does, like you said, it is
Yeah,
very individualized.
Very individual. And it's a very different process than losing someone to cancer or a car accident or some other kinds of things that we're a little more used to.
Well, and out of your
more
hands.
common. Yes.
I mean, completely out of your hands. Where this, if you know the individual, it kind of feels like you said, they suffer from the guilt aspect.
Yes,
and I
yeah.
think that really
Yeah.
drags on
It
the
does.
time period of getting over.
And sometimes there's so many unanswered questions. The why.
Yes.
The why.
The why is the biggest one. It
Yeah.
has to be.
Yeah, people leave notes sometimes, or they leave other little messages, perhaps, or indications that about how they made that decision or what led up to them taking their lives. But there's often times too where there's nothing, so there are no answers, for family and close people.
Sorry,
People that
there
they're
is one
close to.
fly.
Little fly buzzing around.
One little
here.
fly in the studio. I do apologize for that.
That's all right.
So tell me now, has the suicide rate in North Dakota, we're the 9th in the United States, has that gone up or down over the years? Are we on a level of increasing that, or?
I was just trying to look at let's see here now. In 2009, we were 13th in the nation.
Wow.
So we're moving, unfortunately,
The wrong
moving
way.
up. Yes.
The wrong way. Oofda. So what else since there is that, is there more funding coming for these types of programs? Because, you got to get more awareness out there.
Right. This past legislative session, the Department of Health did receive an appropriation for suicide prevention, and so as did the Office of Indian Affairs. And so those two agencies, in addition to other state agencies and providers and other concerned persons, are all working together in terms of being able to address some of the needs for awareness and prevention. That's one of the main things that the Suicide Coalition, Statewide Suicide
Okay.
Coalition, is working on, as well as, like I mentioned, spearheaded to some extent by the Department of Health because of the funding. The North Dakota chapter for AFSP is really focused on doing whatever they can do with the funds that they receive. When we host the walks, half of the money that is raised in each community stays in that community for
Okay.
local efforts. The other half of the funding goes back to the National Association for their continued research and educational and awareness efforts that are done on more of a national basis.
Okay.
So each of our communities, as we raise our funds through the walk, our planning committees continue to work throughout the year to take a look at how might we assist our communities, with the funds that we've raised.
So tell me again, we just got about another minute or so. How can people get involved with the Out of the Darkness walk? When is it? Where is it? What do they need to do to be involved?
Okay. What they need to do to be involved is they can either go to www.outofthedarkness.org to register for the walk and get more information. They can also contact me at 328-8941. if they're interested in being involved in our planning committee, they can certainly contact me. Brenda Bergen is my co-chair. If you can't reach me, she can be reached at 426-1021.
Okay, very cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And I mean, it's not one of the best topics in the world, but definitely, hopefully there will be a light at the end of the tunnel down the road.
That's our intent.
Very cool. Well, thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
coming on the show. And thank you again, everybody, for watching this edition of City Chat with City Magazine. Make sure you head to the website at thecitymag.com where you can read this entire issue as well as watch past episodes of City Chat with City Magazine. Have a good day.